Are you sitting comfortably?
I am.
We're live, Clive.
Oh, we're live. Hello again.
Yeah, man.
Yes.
Lee Marvin. I'm going to let him talk today,
Man?
guys.
Man? What you done with the man? You pulled me on it, didn't you? So what is it, my man?
Start saying that. There's other things.
Got you saying man, Anna? Jeez. Hugh, man.
Oh, chill out now, dude.
Hugh, man.
All right.
Okay.
I think you better mention Christine before we start.
Christine Parkinson, yes. One of our lovely fans. And Vicky as well, she's a nice girl.
And Nicola complains when I did the vlogs.
You're going to
with
miss
you.
out some now, aren't you? Now
No, I'm not doing no more. I'm not doing no more shout outs. I'm getting in trouble.
Oh,
right, I'm going to let you talk
I'm going to
today,
write a
Bert.
list of shout outs. I promise I'm doing.
You've got some notes there. Nicola notes. Last time you got all them notes and I didn't let you use them. So
yeah, it's a few.
First thing, it was somebody asked this because I do read all the comments. First of all, somebody thought I'd actually been a prisoner. A prisoner. They might be new to the channel. They said, so Sam, was he a prisoner or a prison officer?
Oh, I see, right, okay, yeah.
Sometimes it's very similar. Yeah, I could go home. However,
yeah,
looking back, not much of a life really, and certainly not for our lads.
It's a full job, many hours in that, prison, innit? Yeah.
So, somebody else, in fact, quite a few people have asked how we've come to be doing this.
Okay.
You know, how did you get to actually speaking, you know?
Okay, yeah.
So I'll let you explain that.
Yeah, I'm sent you.
And then you can get into whatever you want.
Sent Sambo a message letting him know that I've been a good boy for a while now. So and I see you doing good things. Now you're a civilian. So it's good to have a chat, you know, about old times and stuff.
Well, the thing
I see you're making a change, mate. Yeah, you're not just doing it for like views and stuff like that. You're trying to like make a change.
I think what a lot of people miss, though, I've said there's good and bad people in prison. Yeah, you know.
Yeah.
I think people miss the point. The reason we're talking, is because it's the type of people we are.
Well, of course,
it's not because I was a prison officer and you were a prisoner.
No, we can talk. We're on the same level, aren't we?
Yeah. Again, somebody said, and I'll say this again for the new viewers. Well educated. He was educated in prison. He educated himself.
Educated, yeah.
But yeah, he's well educated. Way better than me. His English.
Didn't learn anything in school, but I learned obviously you learn the basics in school as you do. But yeah, we didn't study in our school. Yeah, we were just playing and stuff, messing. It was like a joke.
So basically, you messaged me. We started talking. Then you invited me for a brew.
Yeah.
And then I made myself at home.
Yeah, but by school time, my secondary school, I was already tied into all sorts of stuff, you know. I just thought all the bad things was normal, do you know what I mean? I used to look up to the guys who used to rob the post office vans and come and joyride them on our estate, you know, taking a chase.
Are you doing your own thing today?
I mean,
because it's like we're having two separate conversations.
Yeah, no, I'm just saying.
Just get into what you want to talk about, eh?
What do I talk about?
Yeah.
Well, I want to talk about a little bit about how suicide affected me as a youngster, as a teenager. One of my friends, suicide. Yeah, very, very hard to take, difficult to understand. You want to just, like, literally, I wanted to just ask him why.
Was he a good friend?
He was a very good friend, yeah.
You've known him a long time?
And not a long time, no, because he wasn't off my estate, but at the time I was living in Ancoats. I was selling drugs from a flat with my girlfriend.
Yeah.
I'd just been sacked from work, my first job, theft from a workplace, but at the time I met my baby's mum, so that's the good thing what came out of it. We're living in the flats together. She, from where she's from where my first baby's mum was from, he was from up that area, but he moved on to our estate in Ancoats. So what happened was he was a shoplifter, but he was a really good shoplifter. So we used to literally go into the city centre and come home with a full stereo with the speakers and stuff. He'd go into like Curry's and Dixon's, I think it was back then, and he knew how to get the alarms off without the alarms going off. So like you'd see like all stands with all the stereos for sale and whatnot. He'd literally come home with one every day. The guy was a really, really good thief. And he'd also go into little boutiques as well and take what happened was his girlfriend was pregnant with a baby, a little girl. So he started going into boutiques down into King Street and stuff like that, designer stores, and getting loads of designer clothes, baby clothes. So what happened was he was addicted to heroin as well. So he used to smoke heroin, and I could never see the fascination what he had in it. At the time, I wasn't. I'd never tried crack at the time. So he had this problem, and we used to, like, we'd go round, me and my girlfriend, and go round to see him and his missus, and like he'd always be out and she'd be saying, look, he's got this heroin addiction, and it was like, and we'd be saying to him, try and get off it, you know what I mean, try your hardest to get off it, like, and but he sort of kept it separate from his life at home. Yeah, so he'd go out, go and rob, go and smoke heroin, come home, try and live a normal life with his missus, okay? So as his addiction's going on, and he's the baby's, the girl's pregnant and the belly's growing, he starts coming on top in the city centre. His face is getting known, he's getting arrested and stuff, okay? It's getting more difficult to steal. So I believe the story goes something like, I'm not saying 100% sure, but I think I can remember what happened was, he'd come on top in town, he'd been, like, the police was arresting him all the time. So I think the baby had just been born, and he went back to the wardrobe at home, and he was taking baby clothes out of it, brand new designer baby clothes, and going to sell them. But they're his own babies basically, aren't they? So yeah. His girlfriend was going mad, saying, look, you can't be doing this, you know, it's a really, you can't do it, you know. And he didn't want to do it. I knew there was like problems going on, so he was trying his hardest to get off the drugs. And the story goes something like he got sent away to get clean, and everyone thought he was doing really well.
Did he go into rehab himself?
No, he went to a family's house, different area. Yeah, I don't really want to say where, because I don't want to get into specifics, but he moved to a different area to get clean, okay? And everyone thought he was doing really well, and I'm waiting for him to come home because I can't wait to see him and stuff, you know, and we just thought, yeah, he's gone away now, he's going to get clean. He's one of his family members went to work one afternoon, and she come home after work and he was swinging in the living room, killed himself. Wow. So that ripped my head to shreds. I couldn't get over that for a long time. I thought to myself, wow. I even thought about, I didn't think about suicide, but I thought to myself, is it so easy as that, like, to just end your life, you know? Like, I wasn't living a great life at the time, so I felt lost as well as a child, so I just couldn't understand why he did it, Sambo. It was so
What was it about this lad? There was obviously more about him, because the fact he affected you and you liked him.
Yeah, he was a lovely lad, yeah. He just had an heroin addiction, but the lad was lovely, and he had a really good heart, and he was really nice to talk to.
Did you know all about his past? You know,
I knew his life, yeah. I knew his life,
he had a shitty childhood.
Well, no, he just an average childhood, you know, and he got on the drugs young, tried heroin young, must have got a taste for the heroin. But at the time, I didn't really understand about them Class A. Well, I did know about Class A drugs because I was selling drugs, but I didn't really deal with heroin or cocaine or anything like that. That wasn't in my like realm of working with drugs. I just wanted to do like party drugs at the time and stuff. So yeah, that affected me so much, because I wanted to literally wake him up and say, why have you done it? Like, let me help you. And that's what was so heartbreaking, because once it's done, it's done. So that action of suicide is so ending. It's so ending, so heartbreaking, that there's so many things what you would do to help them if you knew that they was going to do that, wouldn't you? You'd like put your life on the line for them, wouldn't you?
Well,
so,
the problem is some people internalise it, don't they? So you never know.
Yeah, that's it. You never know. And that's what was so heartbreaking, yeah. Because I thought he was just coming out of it and he was just going to get better. And even, I was literally, because I was selling bits of weed and stuff at the time, and the pills and whatnot, acid and stuff, I was giving him money, like tenors and stuff, do you know what I mean? I didn't want to give him too much, you know what I mean, because you're just helping him kill himself or overdose and stuff. So I was just giving him tenors, like I'd throw him money, so I felt responsible as well, do you know what I'm saying? And like, no one knew I was giving him money, do you know what I mean? So like, I felt really bad, and I felt, because I was waiting for him to come home, I couldn't wait for him to come home, you know what I mean? And he was dead, man. It was over.
I think the really sad thing is that, like, quite a lot of people I spoke to,
hate that.
in the last couple of years who have had a very good go at taking their own lives, and either they've been found or whatever, or not successful.
Yeah.
They all say at that point when you think you're going, what a relief it is. Not just one or two, all of them. You know, you might be passing out or you've OD'd when you're going to sleep. There is just a peace.
It's a peace, yeah. Well, that's the feeling you get when you've like, when your life's on the line. Like I remember when I got shot, and been shot off a gang member. So I'm literally bullet hole in me. Luckily, it didn't hit the bone. Because when bullets hit bone in your body, that's when you feel the pain, okay?
Yeah.
That's when it's pain. Like, other than that, you just get, when you get a bullet through your body, it feels like a burn, like it's on fire, yeah? But when it hit bone, it's just another level of pain, okay? So luckily for me, it didn't hit bone, it missed my tibula and my fibula, okay? But I'm literally, I get this rush of, this rush of what's the name of
Were
it?
you euphoric?
What? Yeah, I get this rush of one of these drugs what release from your brain, like a dopamine, maybe.
Yeah, dopamine, yeah.
Yeah, so I got a dopamine dump in my brain, yeah, and I was flying. Like I felt like,
well, it's everything. It's adrenaline. Your body just goes into survival mode.
Yeah, that's what it did. Yeah, because like when I felt a bullet whiz past me, I thought I was dead. Like when I've seen the gun come to take my life, yeah. I thought I was dead, but then the next bullet, when it hit my body, and then he sort of stopped, I thought to myself, wow, I'm alive. And I went back to when I was a child for some reason. My brain like takes you back, and I just thought of summer, like being I remember playing in this park on my own on this swing when I was a kid. And I found a tablet on the floor, and I was about 6, and I took it, and it made me so ill. Like I used to kick bubblegum off the floor, me and all that when I was a kid. Right? I was a weird one, yeah. So I'd see dry bubblegum on the floor, and I'd boot it and pick it up and chew it. Yeah, I'd start chewing it off the floor, yeah. So this tablet, I picked it up and I swallowed it, and it just made my head wave. And I remember going home, and it was weird because I was kind of scared of the buzz.
Yeah.
But I enjoyed it. Do you know what I mean? It was this tablet was making me fall all over the place, and I thought to myself, wow. And when I got shot, it took me back to that time. Like I felt like I was in that moment again. Yeah.
It's not for us, that, guys.
No,
not this time.
Armed Audi's not for us. Armed response in that Audi then, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So yeah, I felt when.
So you still think about that guy?
I think about him a lot. Yeah.
Really?
I think about him a lot, and I've lost a lot of people in my life, but he's one who sticks with me. Do you know what I mean? He's one who really sticks with me, and he's got a grown-up daughter now who's a big girl and stuff, you know, and I hope she's doing really well. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I believe like she's a strong girl as well, so I'd send love if she's.
It's a very tough one, isn't it, when you talk about suicide and that, because some people,
it's so
some people are sort of, you know, like it's a selfish
very
act.
easy to do, innit, Sam?
Well,
a lot of emotions went through me.
He's right.
I think you've got to have the nerves of steel to do that, mate.
Big Andy, remember Big Andy? I haven't seen him for a while. I need to catch up. The lad who talked about medication and that, knowledgeable lad.
Yeah.
From his own mental health and stuff. Shout out to Big Andy, he's a good lad.
Yeah.
He talked, first time I'd ever heard anyone talk about it, hard and soft suicide.
Right.
Yeah. So taking medication is a soft suicide, because lots of people take loads of medication and different kinds, enough to flatten an elephant and survive.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you know your body or circumstances or where you are. You know, a hard suicide, you know, if you jump off a 20-story building or something like that, you ain't coming back.
No.
You know.
Yeah, I've seen that as well. I've been in town and seen them splattered on the floor and stuff when they've jumped off the Arndale car park. That's a sight to see. It's a horrible thing to see.
I don't even.
My God.
But also, there's you know, people think people who commit suicide are selfish.
Yeah,
sometimes.
I heard that. Yeah, well, that went through my. You go through a chain of emotions, don't you? So I was thinking selfish, he's left his daughter he's left his missus on his own, and like, I was angry. I understood the selfish mode part of it, but I was angry at him myself more than anything, because I knew that we could have got him through it. Do you know what I mean? 6 months down the line, he would have been like, oh, thank God I got saved. Do you know what I mean? So it's so ending, that's what I'm saying. It's so final when someone does that. There's no pulling them back, is you can't wake them back up and give them a shake and say, listen, I can help you. That's why I now, if someone says that to me, or I get a sense that someone is down, I'll always protect them, Sam. I'm very fiercely protective of people, even strangers, okay? And there's a reason for it. It's because I grew up without anybody, okay? I was an orphan, so that means I had no family of my own. I had no one who could look like me, no one who I could say that's my people. I had nobody who I could look at and say they look like me, or they was related by blood to me. And I was aware of that very young, because my adoptive mum told me that I was very special, and they picked me because I was special and stuff like that. So I was a very alone person, so I know what it's like to be alone, okay, in any situation, all right? So I always jump to the underdog for some reason. I remember when I was a kid and I was going in the city centre, and there was a working girl called Diane. She'll be well dead now. And she said she took me under her wing, and she was the hardest working girl on the street at the time. Yeah, she was the loudest, and she always used to have a can of bleeding specials brewing her hand, but she was addicted to heroin, crack cocaine, and she was an alcoholic as well, okay? And she was a prostitute in her 30s. She had a boyfriend who let her go on the beat, and every so often, every few days, he'd come and keep an eye on her and stuff. Like, if they'd had an argument and she'd vanish because she'd be addicted to drugs, so he'd be sat at home waiting for her to come home with the money for to give him drugs. So what she'd do is she'd not go home straight away, she'd go and do her own thing, you know what I mean? And he'd come on the beat like looking for her, do you know what I mean? He was a ponce, and it was disgusting, yeah, but he'd been with her for a long time, and she loved him. Pimp? Ponce is a pimp. No, a ponce is not a pimp. A ponce is somebody who will take money off a working girl, who will let his missus go out and work her ass off, literally, and he will sit there and just zap the money. Yeah, he won't, like, he'll probably be a criminal himself, but he won't commit no crime while he's got a girl working for him. That's a ponce, okay? And ponces they're not nice people. They are like a parasite, yeah? So they will suck every penny out of that girl, suck the life out of her, do you know what I mean? So I used to see a lot of ponces on that beat in town, and I'd run them. Like, a lot of girls who I know who were ex-working girls who will be watching this would vouch for me and say, you know what, Marv was one of them guys, yeah, he would never let girls get advantage taken of. Like, if I seen a guy like bullying a girl on the street, I'd run him off the street. That was our beat, yeah. I was from Ancoats, so we had a gang of us who used to roll round the beat anyway, because at the time there was a gang from my estate who used to rob sat-navs, yeah, that was where the money was from, and CD face-offs, so your car stereo, cars, and the sat-nav, we was taking them, and we was taking literally hundreds every day, not hundreds, but in the tens of sat-navs or car stereos on a daily. So I used to see this gang of guys who I know a few years younger than me, and they was like used to swarm the city centre, or I was doing the same thing, do you know what I mean? But also I didn't have to graft as much as because I had a couple of working girls who would say to me, Marv, here's my money, go and buy me 10 white and 10 B, so meaning 10 rocks of crack cocaine, £20 each, 10 bags of £10 bags of heroin, yeah, 10 of each. So she'd give me 300 quid to go and buy this. She'd give me the money for the full amount.
So they obviously trusted you.
Oh yeah, they trusted me beyond measure. Like, I was a very trusted person, you know what I mean? Because I remember, like, I was very young.
Did they feel like family?
Yeah, they did, yeah. And I used to go on the beat, and that Diane would say, 2 rules, Marv: don't hit women and don't take the money. That's the rules. That's the rules of the game, yeah? And when you think about it, it's the very basic rules, but the very, very strong, powerful rules, aren't they? Don't hit the working girls and don't take the money. What more could they ask for, okay? So I was the one who was going to buy the drugs for him. So I'd go to my side, get the drugs a bit cheaper, get my own for free. I'd get some off the drug dealer for getting the business. I'd get some bits off the working girl for scoring for her. So I had a lot of girls coming to me going, Marv, do you want to score for me? Do you want to score for me? Do you want to score for me? And it carried me through for a long time, you know what I mean, through my drug addiction. And like I say, I was doing...
And the thing is, if you weren't getting the drugs from, somebody else would, wouldn't they?
Oh yeah, that's it. It was just, yeah, they was addicted. So if a girl was addicted, like what would happen is, once they got the next punter, then they'd spend the money what they got off the last punter, okay? So once they're in a car with a punter, they'd say to me, they'd say to the punter, yeah, just stop at that black guy there. Some punters would be scared, you know what I mean? And go, no, I'm not stopping. He's going to jump in the car and rob me. Some of them would be like, fine. So for example, sometimes they'd go, right, Marv, there's 200 quid, go and buy me my bits. And I'll be back here in like half an hour. I'm just going to do this fella. The fella would be sat there knowing he's going to get his business. You know
how much did them lasses on the streets make?
Mate, some of them would do business for 15 quids and 10 quids. And some of them wouldn't get in a car for less than 30,
so 300 quid. 300 quid, you're talking about 20 fellas.
Yeah, they're doing a lot for fellas, yeah. So what? But when they're doing business with a punter, they look at it like just a job, a 15-minute little window. Like some of the girls will be like, I'm not staying with him for long, and the guy be there, like, I'm not staying with him for long, he's got to wear a condom, I'm not doing it business without a Durex. You know what I mean? It's just business. Yeah, that's how they deal, that's how it'd be. It's shocking.
Well, like Lisa, I never thought of it. Lisa.
Yeah.
Hi, Lisa.
I think, well, let me just say before I go on, I think working girls are incredibly powerful girls. They understand their bodies, okay? They're not afraid to share their bodies with somebody else, okay? And your body's only like an organ. It's your brain where the power is, yeah? Your body is your body, okay? It's like if you know how powerful your body is, you can be the most successful, beautiful women on the planet show their bodies in certain ways, sensuality, or they know how powerful sexuality is in a woman. So some of them working girls, like I say, are be very, very powerful women, strong-minded, strong women. Some of them wouldn't let men take advantage of them, ever. Some of them would never have a ponce. Some of them would never have a pimp. Yeah, some of them would never have a pimp. Some of them would never have a ponce, yeah? So it was just like some girls would be stuck in a violent relationship, basically, and the way out would be to get on the beat, earn a few quid, get the drugs paid for, and use the body as a very powerful tool.
Well, like Lisa said to me, and again, I wouldn't have thought of it like that. So at one bit, she's in Blackpool, luxury penthouse, getting well paid, well looked after by the guy, you know, who provided the property. You know, he's making a good living, she's making a good living, great conditions. So I said, you know, so obviously that's preferable to being on street. She went, no. I went, why? She said, because spending an hour with someone.
Well, the girl in an hour, some of them working girls in an hour could make 300 quid in an hour.
She said, you know, being on street, you know, I don't want to spend time.
Because some of them girls can read a punter very, very well. So they'll get in a car with one fella, then they'll know they're not getting no more than 20 quid out of him. But another fella would be shaky, his first time with a girl, he'd be asking, how much is it, love? Then she knows how much, he doesn't got a clue. Do you know what I mean? And like, it can go a bit dark though at the same time, that, because some of the girls I know will get the punters on crack cocaine, get them trying crack, and they know how addictive it is, and they're doing it because they know they've got a punter. The punter's saying, I want to be your boyfriend, because that's what happens inevitably with a working girl. He'll get a punter, and the punter thinks he's the only one for her, and he can save her, and he can do this and that. And the working girl will use that and go, all right, then you want to save me, all right, then I'll phone you in an hour, come and meet me. I'll spend half an hour with you, we'll go for something to eat. As long as he's paying her, do you know what I mean? She's still taking money off him, but he thinks he's doing her a favour by saving her. You know what I mean?
Do you think they should, as it were, legalise it?
Yeah.
And do you think, you know, having taking girls off the streets, putting them in rooms?
Well, that's up to the girl's choice, isn't it? Like, you see it in Amsterdam, like, the girls will stand in shop windows and, like, they're the...
Yeah, they do.
They don't get forced to do that.
No, they rent.
They rent the room. They rent the window, don't they?
And let me tell you, there's obviously rules in Amsterdam. You don't take pictures of these lasses and stuff like this. I've seen some African Dutch guy turn up, like 6'6", with a big shoulder holster and that, slapping a few tourists round who were taking the piss.
Telling them to,
so they're well protected.
They're very well protected.
I don't know how much money they make, but them little rooms they rent, don't they?
Yeah, of course, yeah.
So if you've got a boarding house with 20 rooms, these 20 lasses in window,
yeah, of course,
you're making
a hell of a lot of money. And it's a mutual agreement, that, isn't it? It's business. So it's business. So a girl knows, she's got no qualifications. She's beautiful. She's got very long legs. She's very attractive. She can work her body to her advantage. Like, I know some of them working girls who would not have sex with a man. Don't get it twisted. Not every working girl will just give everything up. Some girls won't even let them see their private parts. Trust me, I know women like that who are very, very strong women who know the streets and know that they would never they'll make out of a prostitute, but they ain't a prostitute, yeah? Okay, so they'll fiddle with him, with his private parts for a little bit, sit on his lap, put their arm round him, give him a quick touch, and he's thinking, oh, I've got this woman here. That girl's just working him to the bone, do you know what I mean?
No pun intended.
No pun intended, yeah. So what happens with that is, I know a lot of men, I used to see a lot of men on the beat looking for girls, like, have you seen Joanna anywhere? And I'd be like, why, what do you need her for? And he'd be like, what it is, she bought me that stuff, the coke, and I just want to get some more. And the next minute another girl's in his car. Before you know it, he is driving the girl about every day. He's parked up in the corner. He's like a punch, then he turns into the same thing and then they get rid of him. Then they're like, I don't want him near us. And then I'd have to say to him, mate, you're gonna have to move, you know what I mean? And they'd be asking me to get rid and whatnot. Yeah, so it'd be it's not easy. It's not an easy job, if I put it that way. But I've got a lot of respect for them working girls.
Do you know? Well, you obviously spent a lot of time with them, didn't you?
A hell of a lot of time,
So
yeah.
It used to be. I don't know whether it is now. Certainly, I knew where red light districts were in Sheffield. They were down Broome Hall.
Yeah.
And believe it or not, Scotland Street next to the main nick.
Yeah.
They moved down there.
Yeah,
because it was safe. They were next to
that's it.
The main police station.
Yeah.
But is it no longer? You know what they used to do, didn't they? Like Lisa said, they used to pick girls up who were working streets, lock them up, put in front of the judge and find them.
Well, that's what
they didn't have money for the fines, so they just go back out on the streets.
Used to happen a lot, finding the girls.
Have they stopped doing that? I
think they have stopped doing it a lot. They used to do it a lot. Like, it was just a part of the course that they'd get nicked eventually. What had happened was they'd get a warning off the car first. A plainclothes police would go to the working girl and say, right, you've been on the street now an hour. I know you've got enough money to score. This is what they'd say to them. You know what I mean? They wouldn't just be nasty and just throw them off the street or arrest them. They'd say, right, I know you've just earned money. You've been out here an hour. Go home now. Buy your bits and go home. But obviously the girl's greedy. She wants more money. You know what I mean? She's got a boyfriend at home who wants a bit as well. So then she moves to another street and she'll get another warning. The car will go past and say, I've just told you to go home. Next time I'm going to lock you up. And that's what had happened. Third time, they'd come, lock her up, put her in the cells for the night, fine the next morning, out the next morning. What would she have to do to make the money for the fine? Go and work the street. It was just a vicious circle, wasn't it? But that's what it is, isn't it? You know, materialism now has turned us into money orientated. So everything's about money. So if you get caught with cannabis on the street now, they will give you a street fine. So if you've not been arrested for any crimes in the last 5 years, and you get caught with cannabis on the street, they will give you a fine. They will just fill out a form and literally they want money off you. If they catch you smoking weed,
is it up to a certain amount? So obviously if you've got more than that,
I think it's about £80 fine they give you on the street. Like, they give you a street fine, so you'll get an £80 street fine. They'll take the cannabis.
Quantity wise, if you got a 9 bar on you, you get.
Oh yeah, if it's more than for personal use, clearly, you know what I mean. If you've got a billion packet if you've got a package in your pocket, what's open, you're clearly using it as like your own personal use, they will give you a street fine. You won't even go to the police station. So it's like you're being caught with like no tax on your car or whatnot, isn't it? You get a fine off, don't you? I'm sure you do. But so the girls, the working girls will be getting a lot of fines and stuff, but it's a vicious cycle because they've got to go and work the money again the next day, aren't they? So I was around a lot of working girls at the time. What happened then is, when I got addicted to crack cocaine, Like I tried crack, someone gave it me, and this nice girl. I said she was about 20 last time, but she wasn't. Do you know how old she was? She was about 26 and I was 17. Because I remember I seen her about 3 years later. And
was she doing that? Like you said, they used to get punters hooked, or was it literally?
Yeah, she'd done that to me to get me hooked, yeah. Because I seen her about 6 months later getting off a bus, and she had 3 children with her. So she was a grown-ass, clever girl. She'd been round the block a bit, you know, she'd got kids to different men and whatnot. So obviously she had a crack addiction. She's in a club, but she knows what she's doing. She knows I'm going to try and find a man here who's got money. So she might have even watched me selling drugs in the club that night. Yeah. And she's come up to me and we've started talking. She was from my estate, but she was from just over the hill from my estate. So she was from like half a mile off my estate. Do you know, it wasn't classed as my estate. It was classed as like Ardwick, where she was from. But so she wasn't a girl off my estate. She was a girl who lived on my estate. Yep. And like I say, she brought in this crack pipe and said, try this, before I even thought about what it was. Like now everyone knows what crack cocaine is, don't they? Back then, people didn't really know what crack cocaine was. The only time we'd ever heard of it was in the Sun newspaper, and it was this big hoo-ha saying, the world's most addictive drug is going to come to England, it's going to smash everywhere. From and America. To be honest with you, I'll be honest with you, I was very intrigued by that. I was thinking to myself, the world's strongest drug. At the time I was sniffing butane gas, and I'm thinking, the world's strongest drug, I want to try that once. For God's sake, did I try it? But yeah, Grandmaster Melly Mel, that song White Lines, I won that as a body popper as a kid, and I used to listen to it over and over and over, and I could tell you every song, every word of it now. But when you listen to Grandmaster Melly Mel and White Lines, every single word is a name, is a nickname for crack cocaine. So it goes freebase, rock, and it's all the way through it.
You're not going to sing it, are you, Marv?
No, all the way through it is just, it's an anti-drug song, yeah, but I won it as a kid. And I played it over and over and over and over again on repeat. But I didn't get the message. The message, what it was, is don't do it.
Well, you were still young though.
Yeah.
So yeah. Even though you're streetwise, do you still have that sort of innocence that, you know, if you compare me at 17, obviously there's a generation of difference.
Yeah.
So at 17, you know,
in innocence, in the respect that I didn't understand what a real man did, like a real man who went out and worked and got a job, and then he's found a missus and he's made a family for himself and he's done a business. Like I didn't get that. I didn't understand it as such. That my dad was a factory worker. We didn't own our own house. He was happy to pay the council. Do you know what I mean?
There's nothing wrong with that, is there? You know,
no, there's nothing wrong with that. But I'm saying, I think if he was a man who would have been like, right, this is what you do. You pay a mortgage, you get a job, a good job, and you try and get a better job until you get to a point in your life where you're extremely making money and you're rich. Yeah, but my dad was quite happy to work in a factory, minimum wage. He wasn't even getting minimum wage, he was being ripped off, right, because he'd worked there for so long. Yeah. They didn't have to push his wages up in line with like inflation and whatnot. They was probably sticking an extra tenner every year on his wage. Do you know what I mean? So he was way far behind.
That is the reality for a lot of people, isn't it?
Yeah, that's the reality for a lot of people.
You know, when I look sort of my male role models when I was growing up, my uncle and that, you know, he was a mechanic. They didn't get well paid.
They didn't get well paid.
But that's what he did.
Yeah, that's
it. You went to work, got scruffy, did your mechanicking, come home.
Hard. Yeah, but my dad was always skint. Always skint. I'd say to him, can I have £1? No, I've got no money, I'm skint. Christmases and birthday are like Whit Week. They get new clothes and stuff. So he'd work hard to get us what we wanted, but he struggled very, very much to get us the basics. Do you know what I mean?
I think that's probably the only thing we had in common in childhood. My mum sort of brought me and my sister up on her own as a single parent. Yeah. And I do remember she worked what people would call menial jobs. She always worked, my mum. She might have 3 jobs cleaning. Yeah. And my nan would look after us while she went out to work. But new school term, buying me a pair of new shoes, and she'd try and get you the latest fashion because that's what you wanted. That was a month. You know, she never had nothing, never had no clothes, never had... and everything was a challenge until yeah, you know, when I first started work, my mother could have had every penny I earned.
Yeah, but
I used to have wage
so
packets
proud to give her
in
a few
drawer,
quid.
and she'd take and borrow 20 quid.
Yeah,
you know, I'd have to think of ways to give her money.
Yeah,
I had a
bless
jar, a gallon whiskey jar. Do you remember them?
Yeah, I remember. Yeah.
So I'd fill it with coins.
Yeah.
I would count it, so there might be 80 quid in it.
Yeah.
And I'd say to my mum, "Do you want that? Give us 30 quid." So I'm giving her 50 quid.
That's nice.
Because, you know.
Well, I did that later on in my life when I was a drug addict. I used to go to my mum's house and I'd just throw money at them. Like say I'd just done a raise and I've got money. I'd just go and just give my mum money, do you know what I mean? And like, it caused a bit of problems because my dad was a dead proud man and stuff, and he'd be like, "You don't take him money off that, buying him tea-fits and rare. But it was just, the money's hard not to take in it somewhere, wherever it's come from, you know what I mean? So if I'd say to my mum, yeah, there's 100 quid, and she'd be like, "Don't tell your dad," do you know what I'm saying? So like, yeah, it got a bit difficult in that respect, yeah. But he had morals, he had his rules, you know what I mean? He didn't want me in brown drugs and stuff.
He's proud.
Well, he disowned me when I was a drug addict. So when I got addicted to crack, my adoptive daddy said to me, "I don't want nothing to do with it."
Did you understand that?
Yeah, I did. I understood with it. I understood it. I didn't respect him for his decision, you know what I mean? He wouldn't let, like, every time I was going to prison and my mum, I should say, wanted to come up and see me, like, he'd be like, "Don't go up and waste your money to go and see him," you know what I mean? So like, it'd be a bit of a ball ache to come down. But then, to be fair, I went to HMP Wayland. So I was in prison and I wanted to get clean and ready to be clean for when I got out of prison. So I went down to HMP Wayland, and I only lasted a few weeks on the drug course. I got kicked off, and then I'm on the normal location then, yeah. And Reggie Cray was in at the time. So I used to speak to Reggie Cray a lot, believe it or not. He was a nice fella. Yeah, he was on normal, completely normal location. So he was dead skinny, dead small.
He's been really old then, was he not?
Yeah, it was the last year of his life.
What was it?
He died the year after, yeah. I think he died the year after. So this was 1999, I think. It might have been, yeah, if I'm just ballpark, about 99. So I'm in Wayland with him, yeah, and obviously when they first went in, it's like, "Reggie, sign this for us," and you know what I mean, he'd scribble this mad writing, and he'd write on your cards and all that for you. And I remember what he did one day for some kids. So in the prison, in the gym, was a trainer shop, clothes, sports store.
Oh yeah, how's that?
Right, so I tell you, wow, the gym officer owned a sports shop in the city centre, in the town.
Yep.
Right, so Norfolk town, prison officer, owned a sports shop. So what he did is, in the gym, in the office, he had a selection of his clothes and his trainers, like on little racks, yeah? So when you landed in that jail, you could literally go into the gym and order new trainers.
Would that come out of like your private cash?
Yeah, come out of your private cash. So one day, this kid who come with us, this lad, he was a small, blonde lad. You know, he looked about 18, yeah, and he's got these smashed in trainers in, and Reggie Cray was stood there with us, like we was doing our gym induction, and Reggie Cray just walked in. This was one of the first times we met him, and everyone's going, "Reggie Cray just walked in the gym, there, he's there, and everyone's looking at him, you know what I mean? And there was this lad who was like in these battered trainers, and Reggie seen him, went and spoke to the gym fella, and literally the gym fella went like that to the lad, "Yeah, lad, come here. Reggie Cray just bought these for you." A pair of brand new Reebok Classic white pair, which was a beautiful, wonderful thing to do. Do you know what I mean? And I think he used to do that to like a few of the lads. You know, if he took a shine to you, I think he'd like help you out. Do you know what I mean? So on his billet where he lived, every payday he'd give tobacco to people. So he was a tobacco baron. So if you borrowed half ounce of tobacco, you had to pay an extra quarter on top, so you'd have to half on top. Yeah, it wasn't double bubble.
So that is cheap.
It's 50%.
Explain what double bubble is to people.
So what double bubble is if you borrow one item, you're paying two back, whatever it is. Yeah. Okay, simple as that.
Yeah.
But he would do it as, if you borrow an item, you've got to pay half an item on top, so you're paying 50% extra. So a lot of people had run out of tobacco while they want to buy drugs, because it was used as a currency.
Yep.
Tobacco was used as a currency in prison, same as phone cards, like credit
Explain
credit on
what
your
a phone card, because a lot of
so
people
like a
don't know what
phone card is
cards were.
literally, if you've got money, you can put money on your
Used
little
to be,
card.
didn't it?
Yeah, you could put money on this little card, or you could buy the cards. It was like £2 phone cards, and people would just sell them. It was currency, it was prison currency, and same as tobacco. So he'd have people selling tobacco for him or doing phone cards. So but he was a really, really nice fella. Like, he was
You wouldn't want to have met him back in the day, would you?
No, you could tell he was a boy back in the day, yeah, but like I've met him at the end of his life.
How long had he been locked up?
He'd been locked up 30 years, 30 odd years, yeah. He'd been away 30 odd years by then. So Reggie Cray was one of the biggest well-known gangster names in the country ever, to ever have been.
Probably.
Yeah, for sure. One of the biggest names you ever's come across as a gangster, as a class as a gangster, a British gangster, innit?
Yeah, probably.
Defo, yeah. Well, there's him, and there's the Richardsons, and there's the Frasers of the world, you know what I mean?
Yep.
And then you go down, like, especially in this city, like,
Do you think
it's
Criminality
there's people
now
who
is...
get a reputation. Some people, like you was asking me about reputation, there's some people in this world whose reputations precede them. So I know, for example, like the man who I've just said, if he was coming to tax you back in the day when he's at his height of his power, you'd probably give him your shit, because you think, I'm going to get it took. There's no point in me going through all this palaver trying to save my shit.
No.
Just give him what he wants and get rid. Do you know what I mean? And yeah, so Reggie was like at the top of his game when they took him out and put him away forever. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's about a bit of a warning for people, like, because I'll tell you something. There's a couple of points I want to make about going to prison. Okay.
Yep.
If you think you're a gangster, right, and you're in prison, you go to prison for a very, very serious crime, you're not a gangster, because you're going to prison now for the rest of your prime, the prime of your life. So you can do something what is gangster, yeah, but then the repercussions for that will put you away for it forever now, yeah, forever. Like, if you use a gun and shoot someone in this country, the starting point for your sentence is 30 years, okay?
Yep.
You use a knife, you stab someone with a knife, your starting point is 25 years. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So these aggravating features. So using a gun, you think it's easy. It isn't easy. The police are watching us again. It'll happen again now. We'll have a ton of police come now, going past slowly, and we'll have this. So anyway, yeah, we'll go back to using a gun now. If you use a gun on the street, you are getting a huge amount of prison. Okay, so there's nothing clever about owning a gun.
I want to ask you a question now. You've led nicely into this.
Yeah.
Yeah. People talk about Britain's hardest prisoner, Britain's toughest prisoner, Britain's most dangerous prisoner.
Yeah.
When I've talked about, top 3 dangerous prisoners or whatever, that's in my experience, within my environment. However, I don't think you can define who Britain's toughest prisoner.
No way. Britain's toughest prisoner it's a nothing.
There is a lot of tough guys in prison where that.
Listen, let me tell you something, mate. Let me tell you something, right? Reputation in prison is very, very minimal. Okay, you can only live off your reputation for so long in prison. You'll get called out. Do you know what I'm saying? There's someone who will challenge you. There's a saying what sticks in my mind, and the saying is there is always a bigger fish. Okay, just think of it. Yeah, there is always a bigger fish. So what happens in the sea is you'll see a fish go past, a fish will eat it, then that fish will get ate by a bigger fish, but then a bigger fish will come along and eat that fish, right? Yeah, it happens, doesn't it? Fishes eat fish. There's always a bigger fish.
I remember at Forest Bank, right, so young offenders, which was 18 to 21, it was a troublesome environment. They were always fighting each other.
Very troublesome. Well, I was
sadly,
18
a lot of lads,
all I did is fight.
Yeah, cool. Sadly, a lot of lads on there went on to be major criminals.
Well, I'll tell you something. Now, when I was young, I was in with the biggest gangsters, the biggest names, and the biggest gang gangs was being made as I was growing up.
So did that just...
So you had, for example, Pitbull Crew. You had Cheetah Mill Gangsters.
Yeah.
You had Doddington Gangsters in there, like the Darryl Laycocks of this world. He was a major boy back in the day. Very game, very up for it.
Campaigns against...
Now he's an anti-gun, anti-crime. What a brilliant man, yeah. Like, I've knew him for a very long time.
Yeah.
I used to go to his mum's house to buy crack. Yeah, I used to have to... I was one of the people who could go to his mum's house, knock on the door in the middle of the night and buy crack off him, yeah, because he knew me all my life and he trusted me and stuff. Obviously, I couldn't take other people.
Talk. Obviously, it's not easy.
But he was living on them streets when it was the war zone was happening. People wanted to kill him, and he was like doing all sorts of stuff. Yeah, so I remember one of his relations took a chain. I managed to get a big, massive chain, and a gang's come up to me. Yeah, all on mountain bikes, full masks up. They all know who I am. But his brother, I think it's his younger brother, come up to me and was like, "What? Give me that chain." And he took my chain off me, yeah. And luckily I had Daryl's number in my phone, and I phoned him. I said, "Oh, you can't rob me." When I phoned Daryl, and Daryl said to him, "Give him the fucking chain back." I'll never forget that. Yeah, he got me my chain back. Because what happened with me, I'll go back to what happened when I was 17. I started smoking crack. I've gone on my estate. I've robbed everyone on my estate who could be robbed. Yeah, I wouldn't rob people who was friends of mine. Even though I had a crack addiction, I knew my limits to it. I knew how dangerous it was, and I knew I could get killed for it. Because remember, I was owning me. My cousin was a major guy, but he's dead now. But at the time, he was my cousin in inverted commas.
So you operated on your own, really?
So I operated on my own,
Never been affiliated.
No, that's what I mean. So I was very easy. Someone could take me out very easy, and I was always aware of that. Even though I got a big reputation, it doesn't matter how big your rep is on the street, mate. If you're doing the wrong thing, people will come for you, yeah? So I knew my limits. So I was robbing like people who'd come to my estate but wasn't off my estate, and I've done a few robberies. I've robbed a few drug dealers. I've robbed a few drug dealers who was not on my estate as well. And I knew I was like getting to the end of that now. Like my name was getting well known. It had gone round the criminal fraternity Marv's on crack, basically. So I started going to nightclubs and making my own ecstasy.
You?
Yeah, of course they did.
Because of the nature of that drug.
Of course they did, yeah. Of course they distrusted me. They knew I was a madman. Once you're on crack, people just look at you different. They just think you're a loose cannon.
It's your only purpose.
Yeah, you're a loose cannon. You're crazy. You ain't got no fucking morals. It's like no limits to what you'll do. Do you know what I mean? Like when you're addicted to crack, you need that much money to keep yourself going. You're going all out. You're going extra.
Would people use you for that?
Well, of course they would. Yeah, people would use you because they knew you was on crack. So they'd say to you. Yeah. So what had happened to me is, a lot of people would give me testers of crack cocaine, but I knew what was happening. They thought I was stupid. So what had happened is, if you just start selling drugs, you will get the strongest crack cocaine off the drug dealer. Yep. For the reason being, once you give that to one crackhead,
coming back to you,
they're phoning the mate going, "I know where the best crack is." And this is what had happened. I'd have 20, 30, 40 different drug dealers on my phone, on one phone.
So you were good for business?
Oh, because
you're a well-known crack addict.
I was the best.
So you're selling their drugs for them?
I was the best. My God, mate. Some people have come to town to give me their number and give me a tester, and I'd say, "Right, I'll get your phone bubbling tonight." Yeah, I'd have 15 prostitutes phoning them, and some of the prostitutes would buy off him for months afterwards.
And were you?
I'd get cuts. The boys.
Did you just look at it as you were getting what you wanted?
Yeah, yeah. A lot of the people who were selling drugs, I knew them anyway. So like, if one of the lads off my estate started serving up, because I'd want to support him. Do you know what I mean? So I'd say to him, "Right, I'm going to get you all the business." So I'd give his number out to all the girls who I know he was money spenders. Yeah. And his phone would be going off the hook, do you know what I mean? But then the crack would get weaker then, because then the next time he's buying crack, it's not as strong as it was the last time. It's very easy to make crack cocaine with cocaine. So years ago, when I first started smoking crack, they couldn't add to it. So if you had 28 grams of cocaine and you was making crack, you would lose. So basically, you'd have 28 grams of cocaine. You would try to turn it into crack. You would turn it into crack and you'd get 20 grams of crack back. But the crack was the strongest crack you can imagine because it's been washed.
What about money? Is it worth more?
It's not worth more. It's still £10 a point, but it's extremely strong. So it's worth more in the fact that more people would come and buy it and people would stick to your phone. But it's not worth more because you've just lost. So it was 28 grams. So it was an ounce of cocaine.
Yeah.
Now it's only 20 grams of crack. Yeah. So you lose 8 grams because of the dirt and the shit in the cup.
More customers.
But you're getting customers because it's extremely strong. So what happened is, a lot of people would come to me with testers of crack cocaine, what extremely strong, okay? And I'd be saying to him, don't weaken it, make sure you get it as strong as this time, knowing it won't be 100% as stronger. They might drop it by 10% the strength, but it'd still be good, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I'd be listening, I'd have a drug dealer, I'd have a drug dealer in 4 or 5 different areas. So if the working girl was working up near Cheetham Hill End, I'd have a guy who lived up there who I could get off. Or would know a house where we could go to, where we could go in the middle of the night and buy off someone, do you know what I mean?
And how long were you at this for? The full 20 years?
That's how drug life is, mate. Yeah, drug life's like that, innit? In and out of prison.
I've no idea, Marv.
So what happened is...
basically, 20 years of wheeling and dealing to get what you wanted.
Well, of course, yeah. So, in the 90s, like I say...
Apologies, guys. It has gone really dark.
Yeah, it's gone dark. It's going to rain, yeah.
I ain't got my light today, so...
In the 90s, when it was hard to get crack and it was hard to... Not many people were selling crack cocaine. A lot of people were scared of it to sell it because they knew you'd bring a certain clientele with you as a madman, okay? So back then, you didn't have people who sold heroin and cocaine, crack, because it wasn't the two drugs that went together. So a lot of people from my generation and people like me, we didn't smoke heroin, okay? We just smoked crack, okay? And that was dangerous. We just had a car, full go past again.
I know.
So when you're just on crack alone, you are a very, very dangerous person because there's no coming down. People would say to me, Marv, what do you use to come down? I'd say, I don't come down, mate. The only time I come down is after 15 days of being awake when I just crash out and fall asleep. Do you know what I mean? I'd just collapse, like my body had shut down. I wouldn't sleep.
Do you know what sleep deprivation?
Yeah, it's mad. It sends you out. It sends you trippy, doesn't it?
That is probably one of the worst things that can, you can end up
crazy,
wrecked.
Crazy.
For life, can't you?
Yeah, quite crazy. Not having sleep and smoking crack cocaine sends you off your cake. So by day 3 or 4, you've got crack psychosis, yeah? And so I went to Moss Side when I was 20. I'd robbed everyone. So the only thing I could do next was go to an area where you can freely buy crack cocaine. That was my plan, okay? So I went to Moss Side and the people who were stopping me was like, what are you doing round here? You're not from round here. And I'd say, yeah, no, but I know blah, 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 blah,
Did they
blah,
know
blah.
you or not?
Yeah, some of them would know me, some wouldn't. So when I first started going, I'd go on the old front line where all drug dealers, literally, it was just a free-for-all. There was gangs of lads.
Just explain, because obviously a lot of people, if you're not from Manchester, Moss Side is probably synonymous with sort of...
It was a Gunchester back then, wasn't it? It was known as a Gunchester, yeah. So there was a lot of gun crime. There was 2 gangs vying for the business, trying to... And then what had happened is once one of your best friends is killed off someone in another gang, they're your enemy, you're vowing to kill him. You've seen his mum crying and you've seen his kids crying, so you was his friend. So you'd have a gang.
The neighbours these though, aren't they?
That's the problem.
The thing
not
is,
even just neighbours, the friends.
It's not 2 areas like 2 cities, this.
No.
Because
it's like a road.
Somebody once, I can't remember, that really made me think, somebody who had been gang affiliated but now was of an age where they got their own kids and that and they wanted out of that, said, they were saying, our mums and dads all went to church together.
Oh yeah, it was even,
when we're thinking he's my enemy. It
was deeper than that. Do you know why? That same person's mum would go shopping and buy fruit and veg from the same place where another guy's mum whose son's just been killed. So this was what was happening. There was mums coming off that estate screaming, saying, I've just lost my son to your fucking son. basically, I've just lost my son to my cousin's fucking girlfriend's dad. Do you know what I mean? It was that close. So when someone was getting killed on them estates, it was hitting home. It was too close to home. Like you say, it wasn't a 5-minute drive away to get to your enemy. Like doing a drive-by, it was literally a minute walk. It wasn't even a minute walk. It was crossing a road, and then you was in enemy territory. But then these kind of free estates in Moss Side. So just for a rough guide, you've got a Gooch, you've got Doddington, Pepper Hill, and then you've got the free area, the free market, okay? So basically anybody can sell on that side of the estate up to an extent. Like, so you would get a lot of immigrants who'd come and sell drugs there, different races. It was used to be just Jamaican, mostly.
When you told me this,
there was a lot of Jamaican.
Like a free market, isn't it?
Yeah, there was a lot.
So there's literally a road where anyone, you know, is
can sell. If you're game enough to sell drugs on the street and take the risk, if the gang come up to you and rob you, if you're strong enough to keep hold of your parcel, do you know what I mean? There was a lot of things going on like that. So gang members would come riding over, all in black, 10 of them, and just swarm round someone and just take everything off him.
Can I ask, you know, so obviously police know these areas.
Oh, the police used to drive past them.
Do you think that having an area like that, so where people, because people used to come out of town, didn't they?
From all
people
over.
Were coming partying in Manchester.
North of England, people
or
would
Salford,
come from.
They know where to go.
Yeah.
Do you think that is a good idea, having one area like contained? I wouldn't say manageable, but an area contained where you know things are happening.
Well, it was at the time. It was.
I mean, from the police point of view.
From the police point of view, it made sense.
Because if they've had a presence.
Well, what they used to do is sit on the outskirts of Moss Side and pull cars, wouldn't they? And just pull and catch people that way. Of course they would, because they know if you see a gang of lads all giddy in a car just coming out of Moss Side, the chances are they've just been buying drugs, haven't they? So that's what would happen a lot. So I had to move to Moss Side. Literally, I'd robbed everyone who I could. I'd stole off everyone who I could. I'd got borrowed drugs off everyone I could and not paid them back. Then I was making and selling fake ecstasy, right? So I was still into the club scene. I'd just started smoking crack, but I couldn't afford to buy pills all the time. So I'd buy cold capsules and this other one, like a congestion tablet. So one was red and white caps and the other one was green and yellow. And what I'd do is I'd take the yellow side off one, the red side off another, and make rhubarb and custards, okay? So yellow and red caps
the pills
would be called rhubarb and custard. So there was actual real ecstasy out at the time called rhubarb and custards.
Yep.
So I started making them rhubarb and custards, okay? I'd buy packets of these capsules and I'd sit there on a Saturday or a Friday morning or Saturday morning and sit there putting amphetamine into these caps, right? And the whiz was that strong. So people was buying pills off me and coming back to me for more.
In Moss Side?
No, this was in the club.
Before you got there?
This is in the club scene. This was when I just started smoking crack and I was still into the club scene.
So this is before you got to Moss Side?
This was in between, this was like my in between. So I just started smoking crack. I'd done everything I could on my area and took what I could and borrowed what I could and got on tick what I could and not paid it back, and I'm getting a name for myself as a crackhead, so I didn't want to go too far on my estate because I would have been.
Is that a good place to stop, do you think?
We'll talk about the next level another time.
So
then, if you want.
It is a good place to stop.
That's a good one, So now we're on to where I've just started smoking crack. I've jacked everyone on my area. I've took everything I can.
Yep.
And then I'm starting going to the club scene then with the fakes.
Parting shot, because you'll have seen this. You did say, you know, at some point in prison, even the people who are well respected and well known and maybe top of the game may be told to sort of tone it down a bit because they're affecting other people.
Yeah.
So I go back to the bank. So the young offenders, they decided to put them on normal locations. So instead of having them all together.
I remember when it happened.
So I'll tell you, on F-Wing, there was I've never been able to remember this lad. It was a big lad.
Yeah.
Flat top, brick shit at a fighter.
Where was he from?
I don't know.
Go on.
But the only reason I'm telling you about him.
Yeah.
There were 3 young, who I knew, 3 young offenders on there, not fighters, because some of them lads could, 18
some could fight.
were
Yeah,
fighters.
some of them had been
These
kicked
weren't
off the
fighters
YPs for being fighters, weren't they?
Yeah, these weren't fighters. They were funny lads.
Right, yeah.
But, you know, they started getting bullied by this lad.
Oh.
They'd only been on there a month.
Yeah.
He ended up in intensive care in a coma. Because
yeah.
one morning...
He would have smashed him in with
Yeah,
tuna
they did.
tins.
They did.
Of course.
Door were opened as an officer's opening landing. They've gone straight in while he's in bed and done him.
Yeah.
He never, as far as I know, he never come back to the bank. But
God, you just brought a memory back to me there.
well, hold that thought. So we're going to leave it there, yeah. You know all that talk.
Tell you the story about a hit I had to do for chips.
Say that again.
I had to do a hit on someone because of chips.
Chips, the food product.
Food chips, yeah.
In Strangeways.
Yes, it was so weird.
Well, finish with this one then.
Do you want me to tell you? All right then. So there was a lad on the server, and he was a big fat
Explain
guy.
what server
So the server is where you go down for your meals.
Yeah, you just.
And there was a guy, a big fat guy, and he was always serving the chips.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And every time this small lad used to go through, he'd give him like a shit serving of chips. Okay. So what happened was, some young lads come to me and went, "Marv, do you do hits?" So I've said, "Yeah, why? What do you mean?" So he said, "Right, I get a bit of weed on my visits. I don't get much. My bird brings me an 8 for weed up, yeah?
Yeah.
But I will give you half of it if you go and do me a favour. Go into that boy's cell who does the chips and tell him to give everyone equal chips, right?
Yeah.
Because every time I go through the server here,
yeah,
he's not giving me a full serving, but they're the next man next to me. So he's being favourite to people. He's favouritism,
which is
and
I'll tell you, it's dangerous. Yeah, it's dangerous. That, though.
Right.
It's dangerous for us.
Yeah.
It could cause you problems on services staff. You know, we used to be on it, and the lads. Yeah, you have to be tough on the server as well, don't you?
It's a big thing. So this guy, this young lad, he was only like small, little lad, and he said to me, "Marv, it's doing my head in. I'll give you half of my parcel off my visit." So I went, "Mate, right, I'll sort it out for you." So in the morning, like, you know, as you unlock all the doors, the server in bed. So I've gone in and I've gone to one of him because I didn't want to embarrass this kid, do you know what I mean? Because I'm not into doing that, yeah? I didn't want to embarrass him in front of anyone. So I woke his mate up on the bottom bunk and I said, get out a minute. Fucking scram. So he's just jumped out of bed and gone, and I've gone in and I've locked the door and I said, "Listen."
Explain how you lock the door. There's a personal lock in there.
Yeah, there's a personal lock. So
our key overrides it.
Yeah, but I could lock it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so no one else is coming in. So I said to him, "You better start giving everyone equal on the server." He's white as a ghost, this kid. He went white. He wasn't a white lad, but he went white.
Yeah.
Okay. He's gone white as a sheet, and he's gone, what do you mean, Marv? And I've said, "Listen, I'm getting people complaining to me about you ripping kids off on the server here. Like, you're doing the chips.
Yeah.
You're giving one man loads, if he was like a gym head, and you're giving the man next to him fuck all. You can't do that."
No,
do you know what I mean?
No.
And he's like, "I'm so sorry." And I, that evening, obviously, chip day, the lad come with his tray and he's gone, "Marv, look at this. Look at the amount of fucking chips I got." So he was fucking made up.
But the thing is that, joking aside, cleaning officers want tooling.
Oh, it was.
I would stand there, me, the lads knew everybody's saying, because you get lads come through and they go to the lad behind, give me his fish. Somebody wants to take a fish.
Exactly.
And I go, "It's not your fish."
That's it, yeah.
If he wants to take his fish and give it you, he can.
That's
but
it.
that isn't his fish until it's on his plate.
Till it's on his plate,
and that was a flashpoint service.
Yeah, well, there was bullying going on them servers.
Yeah, of course there is.
So yeah, I used to make sure that didn't happen if I could help it. But,
right, Lee Marvin.
Okay.
Thanks for that, buddy.
Always a pleasure.
Yeah, always. I feel, you know, when you're talking about drugs like that.
Yeah, it's heavy, innit?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, I know that. That's why.
Catch you later. Christine Parkinson. There you go.
Oh yeah. Mike Clark.
I'll see you.
Bye, guys.